beware of the shadows. Hey, guys, welcome back. This is episode 4. I was thinking today about the shadows really heavily today. It got me curious. Relationships are convoluted, they're confusing, they're interesting, they develop, they progress, they end. Relationships do a lot of things, and there's a lot of trading going on. As we know, energy never dies. It's always going somewhere, always being exchanged with something. I guess one of the things that we don't really pay attention to or address is when that energy goes dark. We're going dark, bravo, right? What happens when your relationships are about trading negativity and trading darkness and not just trading light and positivity, right? What happens? And it's something we don't talk about, right? Because there's that overshadowing of, everything will be great, everything will be fine, it'll be fine, right? And like things aren't always gonna be so fine. The thing that people don't say is that it's okay if things aren't going to be fine. It really is. A lot of things you really just like leave to time, you leave to self, leave to space, you leave to attention, leave to just addressing something as it is. You're never gonna know all the answers. And luckily you don't have to. Answers come without you having to do anything. The rush for answers chases answers away. We know how that goes, right? And one of the biggest answers we want to chase, and probably these days, is that certainty of trust. Trust is a really big thing. It's something that people really struggle with being able to ascertain, like, do I know that I can trust you? How do you know if you can trust somebody, right? And the answers always seem like you never know, you just do, right? And in part, that is the answer. When it comes to trust isn't something you place in something else and then it belongs to you. Or rather, trust is something that you place in someone else and then because it belongs to you. You have to give trust to people. You don't find trust in people and then go, you know what, yeah, I do trust. That's not how it goes. It's just like love, man. Love comes from you, and you love someone because you love them, not because they give you a reason to love them. They give you a reason to feel something, maybe, but the love's yours. The trust is yours. And trust is huge because it's so difficult. It's so difficult to keep away the interactions you've had in the past where you feel like your trust has been misplaced or taken advantage of. There's so many examples, there's so many shadows, there's so much that we can say about it, right? And because there's so much, that's why relationships are really difficult when it comes to trust, because that both parties are coming in with the responsibility of taking their own trust and placing it in someone. It's never the other person's. It's never within the other person's power to trust, ever, to prove their trust to you. You prove your trust to somebody, and that's as far as the buck stops with you, right? But that's where the issues come in. That's where that strange trade-off of, oh man, I don't know if I could trust them or if I can't trust them, and then the only way you do it is by either deciding to or setting some kind of parameter that lets you know, and then that's all you got, right? It's a rough road. Trust is a rough road, man. Because growing up, I don't think many of us, if any of us, were grown up knowing the responsibility of what trust feels like, what it looks like, what it acts like. I don't think many of us have that experience, and nobody guided us through that. So when you get out there in the big scary world, the only thing you think is you trust yourself. And that's true, right? That's exactly true. You need to trust yourself. That's exactly where trust starts. And then my question goes, now imagine if everyone, when they get out into that big scary world, they start, one of the first things they learn, or one of the things that they take to be important to themselves, is the trust in themselves, right? If everybody in the world trusted themselves, and then they met someone else that trusted themselves, what kind of relationship would that create? Now, that doesn't sound like a trading of shadows in that sense. That sounds like something worth being around, worth fighting for, worth seeing through in the relationships you have. So let's think about that. Because that might mean that you guys, we don't trust ourselves as much as we should. And it's not even about the other person, right? The trading of the shadows, beware. Because the next thing you know, if you don't trust yourself, you'll start to place that responsibility of trust on others. But then again, if you don't trust yourself, the only thing you have is the irresponsibility of trust and placing that responsibility of trust on someone else, which means is you're giving them a shadow, quite literally, a shadow of a doubt, right? So imagine that, a relationship where somebody's holding your shadow of trust, but not your actual trust. So you guys are exchanging things that don't belong to each other. You know, when you give people things that don't belong to the other person, ooh, can anyone say dysfunction? I think I hear the phone ringing. The definitely someone we want to be careful of. And just realize that the responsibility is ours. Life is a gift. Love is yours. And if love, one of the biggest things in the world, one of the heaviest things in the world, belongs to you, I can't imagine trust being any bigger than that. And it belongs to you. It's just smaller. So we want to get on the work of that, because those shadows are ridiculous. They'll come up in ways that we could have never imagined. All the meanwhile, we're like just fiending for the kind of relationships that make us feel good. Come on, it's our job. Let's do our jobs.